Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going to be going on another garden tour. The gladiolas are blooming and the rain has been knocking them over constantly, so before they all disappear I wanted to take a tour and show you everything that's blooming here at Whitt Acres. If you're new here, I'm Cody. We are in zone 6A in a garden with Echo Pup. Huh, buddy? Yeah, you're my helper. Two koi are doing really well in the patio pond here. I had to put the screens up to keep them from jumping out for now until I can get this pond switched out with different fish. But the waterfall's working really well and I'm enjoying it up here. Off the patio, the containers are doing really well with the Vista Petunia and the lime sweet potato vine. Looking really good on either side, I think. So down here at the pond, even though I didn't mulch, you can't even really tell anymore because the flowers are getting really full. I think there's a hummingbird. Where is it? It's a hummingbird moth. Right there. We got a hummingbird moth on the petunias right now, fluttering around. I always like seeing that one. That moth is hanging out on a beautiful sea of petunias right there. This Vista petunias really filled in the space just like I wanted them to. Lemongrass is getting real big there, and even the banana plant is coming up even higher than that. We have a volunteer gourd on the backside of the waterfall that I'm just training around the stones, and I don't even know what I'll get off of that, but I always like to have volunteers. I think the waterfall is working out beautifully right now. We're still about 4 or 5 inches down on water level, so it's not really where it's going to be, but we're not done with the edging yet, and there's still a lot of work to be done on that side over there. The flowers are looking nice though. We have that hibiscus there at the top. That's just really fluffy flowers. Really gorgeous red frills on that one. We have another sea of petunias with the yellow sunflowers just looking beautiful. The giant gladiola got knocked over really heavily in the last rain we had, so you can see all of them falling over. Tried to string them up, but without individually staking the gladiolas, they all snap over where you put the string. Coming over the destination stone, you can see the beautiful, it's not in full bloom right now, but the portulaca bed is full. We have a nice zinnias popping up, and the butterfly bush has been drawing in these yellow butterflies constantly, as well as the zinnias. You can see a yellow with the blue on them. I don't know if you can see, but the pond is pretty clear. You can see all the way down to the lilies, and it did just rain overnight, so it's stirred up a little bit. We still have some daylilies blooming on this really tall one above the ramp bed. And the hostas are finished up. The dahlias are blooming beautifully over here. The honeybees and bumblebees are all over it. We also have the French dwarf marigold hedge that's nice and thick. Some of the Vista petunias are popping up there, but they didn't fill out as full as all the other places did. Down here at the vegetable garden, I'm still just loving the structure of this entryway. We have a lot of blooms going on with the calendula. We have the red rudbeckia, the portulaca, some cow lilies are still blooming. We have the hosta still blooming some purple. And then this hibiscus actually keeps blooming, but it's always facing the garden. So I have gotten some photos of this one, but it keeps blooming in the wrong direction. We have some more dahlias here blooming next to the redbud tree, and this redbud just looks beautiful even with the foliage. Behind that we have some beautiful yarrow pink coming up and an elephant ear off the corner. The hibiscus, the red hibiscus bean vine is coming up beautifully, and I'm trying to get it to train across this fence line so whenever it blooms it's all the way down the line here. The outside fence line has some sunflowers blooming, but as you can tell they're all facing the wrong direction. We also have some of the Vista petunias that are popping some color, but I did plug in about 72 dwarf zinnias along this line that I'm hoping will actually take, and I'll have some color here for the fall because there's not a ton of color going on in this line, and I'm actually thinking of doing something different for this spot next year. So I'm always trying to figure out how I want to use the spot permanently. I'm doing a lot of stuff right now, just getting plants in and testing different areas, but I'm also trying to figure out how I want to use this space for the long term. So a lot of the things that are seen in the garden right now aren't going to stay that way for long. I end up putting in a garden or building a space, and then it takes that whole season before I figure out how I actually want to use it and how I go around that area to where what I want to put in there is what I'm actually going to like having. Down here in the vegetable garden, I want some low maintenance perennials because all my work is on the vegetables in here, so I don't want to have a lot of work on the flowers. So what I did was plug in some hostas and calla lilies, which are pretty much no maintenance at all. There's more calla lilies over here, but I also have dianthus, which is no maintenance. The wild bell hyacinths are already long gone. And then we have gladiolas, butterfly bush, and lilies. There's a tiger lily right here that's looking really beautiful in full bloom. Just gorgeous. If you haven't seen the photo on Instagram, go over to our Whitt Acres Nature at Home Instagram account and you can check that out. I'm seeing now here that it looks like I also have a crocosmia in here. So I have a red crocosmia that's popping up in there as well. Here on the side is a chamomile plant that I plugged in this year. So this is just going to keep coming back every year and hopefully establish very strong. And whenever I get into drinking some chamomile tea, I will be able to come down here and harvest that. I do need to come in here and just rip out everything in this high density bed. I've been harvesting a lot of these greens for Mumbles the goose and all the ducks. But I also have squash on here, different types of squash and pumpkins coming on here that I've been harvesting for the pigs and the chickens, everybody. All the animals have been getting the food coming out of here. I got some pretty decent sized pumpkins off of these ones in here, and I've been able to give to the pigs and the ducks. Whenever it's getting real hot out, it's good to throw them some of those pumpkins that they can get some hydration from the food instead of just trying to drink water. There's some more gourds in here. A few different types of gourds growing in here. Over here is where I got the big pumpkins. So it looks like I have a couple more white pumpkins coming in on there. That's good to see. We also have a lot of cabbage coming in right now. Some damage on those, but some of these are looking really healthy and balling up nicely. They'll be going to the animals, and we'll definitely be saving some of this cabbage to make some sauerkraut this year. I had a really nice harvest, the best harvest I've ever had on broccoli this year, if you saw it on the Instagram account as well. But we also have some more broccoli heads coming in. So even though it's really hot right now, we're still getting this broccoli to come to full term here and get a good harvest and get some good food off of it too. I want to come down here and harvest this tango leaf lettuce seed because you can see all the tufts producing seed right now, and I'll be able to come in and harvest that. Below that red tango, the first time I'm ever seeing this is an artichoke coming in. That is actually forming a heart right there. I've never had the artichoke actually form a heart. I've only grown the plant. That's really cool to see that. I did harvest all the garlic out of here. The elephant garlic got really big. That was really cool to see. And I pruned back this volunteer plant that was coming up over. It was just completely wiping out my onions. You can see most of them got taken out. I've already pulled out a bunch that had kinked necks already. But these onions just aren't bulbing up like they did last year. So I think I just didn't quite give enough attention to these onions this year. So I might have to put a little bit more effort into my onions next year. Out here in the straight bed, it is nice and full. We got a little zucchini right there, and I've been actually getting a few zucchini off of this, letting some of them get big and giving those to the pigs and the chickens as well. The chickens and the ducks just love coring out the whole center of the zucchini. This is my pippin pepper, so I'm still waiting on getting any pippin peppers, snacking peppers from that one. Hey buddy, how you doing? Oh, don't step on my pumpkin, buddy. This is one of my big smile, I believe, or first prize pumpkins. I have 4 of them in here growing out of the corner. And we do have a pumpkin right here, but that's soft. There's something wrong with that one. That one's not growing, but we have a couple other ones on here. Hopefully they're gonna grow up. The squash mound is just looking really tiny this year, way behind what I have been in the previous years. So I'm really not sure what that's going to turn out this year. We do have a lot of squash plant growing, a lot of pumpkins going on. I guess there's a gourd, a little yellow gourd, not even sure what kind it is, but the animals up there, the pigs like it. And we have all this going on here. Another white pumpkin growing in there. Up here is a bushel gourd growing. You can see some of the flower buds. All the gourds open at night, so they have white flowers at night, and they're pollinated by moths. All the yellow, puppy. Stay out. No. Hey, you stay out, bud. But all the pumpkins and squash have yellow flowers, so you can tell the difference between them. Out. Over on what I thought was all my dills, I don't believe this one is a dill anymore, because it has a green pumpkin on it. It's a pretty good sized pumpkin, but it is dark green already, so I don't think that one is a dill. I'm hoping that I have a pumpkin on one of those in there. I don't actually see one. but I don't want to step in and break anything. This one here doesn't look like a dill's either, but it's still a pumpkin that's growing. I thought I had a dill on the inside here. Neat. Stay out. Yeah, I'm not seeing a pumpkin in here. I'm sure there is a pumpkin set somewhere on this plant, but I'm just not seeing where it is. So we just have this one right now, which that's not looking too good for the giant pumpkin competition. But we'll see how it goes. Sometimes you miss a pumpkin underneath a leaf and you find it a little bit later once it actually gets really big. So that's really what I'm hoping for. So we had some volunteer sunflowers open up around the property, and some of them are just in really nice locations. First one is the one that opened up right above the waterfall in the center of the yard next to the shepherd's hook. It volunteered right there next to the shepherd's hook that always stays there, and it worked out perfect because I was able to mow right around it, and it just looks really nice there. We also have the one opening up above the waterfall, just starting to open up. It's a massive sunflower up there. So both of those are probably American Giants or Russian Mammoth sunflowers that volunteered right there from the birds, right above the waterfall, just looking beautiful right there. Another one is out by the duck house. You can see right there, just a perfect spot right above the duck house, opening up on that hillside. Off the patio here in the poppy bed, it is filled up with the 4 o'clocks that volunteer here. We have the reds, the whites, and the pinks all volunteering, as well as this lupin. Now it's just finishing up, so it's not a real vibrant color, but it's still volunteered this year on the outside of the sidewalk here, and it actually sent up a really late bloom, which was really cool to see because it worked out well with all these 4 o'clocks here. Poppies and daisies still looking good here on the corner. Now we're gonna head up and look at the progress on the jungle garden, aka the pergola. Up here it's actually looking really nice. I think it kind of has that young feeling to it. We actually had some elephant ears come up, giving that jungle feel. You can see these gladiolas are all sprawled out, laying down, so if they were actually staked up, it'd be nice. We have a volunteer gladiola. Look how tiny this is. This one must have been grown from seed. Look at that, just tiny. And the dianthus started throwing up a late bloom, some reason there. We also have the gourd growing along the bottom here with the tulip poplar looking nice and full, but this gourd just completely covering the ground cover here. But we do have some blooms on the little quickfire, I believe. Ooh, we have some bees on there too. Nice big blooms, real sparse and not as dense as the other ones, but oh, that's a horsefly. Look at that thing. Look at that horsefly. Nasty looking thing. So I think the pathway is working out good with the gladiolas and the elephant ear, and then we have the big pink lily that's finishing up its bloom as well. This thing had such a nice color and fragrance to it. I wish it would last longer. It kind of like took a while to start because all the other lilies went off first, but then this one is actually a little bit later, but it just doesn't seem to last very long. It had so many blooms and now it's all done at the same time. We also have the cow lilies along the left side that's looking pretty nice. We do have some blooms on them, but throughout the years they're just going to get thicker and thicker and start blooming more and more like this one down here. I've been training my gourds to go up the pergola here, and you can see it is just covered in bugs. So it's just nasty amount of bugs on here, but I just pop all of them through one by one. Yuck, nasty bugs. I just pop them through like that every day during the hot part of the day, and they just keep climbing up. Holds them on there nice and strong so they don't blow away in the wind. So if I can get these to grow up and make it to the top, these ones are almost at the top, and we're gonna have a nice looking pergola here if the bugs don't eat them. And just pop that through, pop this one through, and all that work is done for the day. We have some more sunflowers back here that should be blooming here real soon. More elephant ear, another big old sunflower back here, just perfectly located. The silver lace vine on this side took a little bit of a beating in the weather yesterday, so we might have to rearrange this and get it to stand back up a little straighter. There we go. That's not too bad. Still looking pretty good out here. This pink lily is also blooming, but it's just about done. It doesn't have its vibrant color anymore. I think all in all, we are getting some type of a jungle feel going on here in the pergola. It's easier to see it in person, but I'm trying to do the best I can on camera. You can see a ton of shadowing, but this is a big elephant ear here in the corner. The passion vine is still alive and it's climbing up this post pretty quickly. Hopefully it's gonna start setting off some blooms as well. So out here off the front porch, the French dwarf marigolds are looking good and the allium's in full bloom. These big black bumblebees are all over the allium and they're loving it. On the corner, the Rose of Sharon is coming into bloom. Gorgeous purple flowers. They drop a ton of seeds. You can see all the Rose of Sharon volunteers that come from this whenever it drops all its seeds. I put a cabbage here on the corner and it's actually heading up. Some things are eating on it, but it's still starting to form a pretty good head of cabbage. And the hosta bed is still looking nice and full. It's finishing up its blooms, but it still has a bunch of purple in here. All these blooms are looking pretty wild. They're all over the place, really long and kind of twisted, but looking pretty good this year. The burning bush circle around the hemlock's doing really well. It's about 2 feet tall now, looking nice and thick. I have one over here that's a good 3 feet, pushing 3.5 feet tall. And all the gladiolas behind it are coming into flower right now. Got the whites, the reds, the yellows. I think there's probably a pink out here too. But all the gladiolas have taken a beating around the property because we just had some rain come through that we haven't had in a while. So they were kind of dry and then they got hit by the wind and they got knocked down pretty good. We also have a tiger lily blooming in here. That's a gorgeous flower. Russian sage out here is in full bloom. We got more red gladiolas. A little sunflower coming up. Mostly around the property, all the daylilies are done, but it seems like these ones are just getting enough sun to where they want to start blooming, and they have a bunch of buds on there. Bunch of blueberries, tomatoes in here, starting to ripen up. There's a ton of food in there, and the birds will come in and take some of these, but there's a lot of blueberries, tomatoes that are going to be dropping seed right here again this year. Down here, we actually have a baby watermelon starting out. Right there. Little baby watermelon. I'm hoping to get that to grow out because yeah, I didn't have a lot of success with the watermelons that I planted this year, so it'd be nice to get a volunteer to actually bloom. We have some Rose of Sharons and daylilies blooming out front here. Got the hosta blooming at the bottom of the mailbox. The morning glories are climbing up the mailbox and they are blooming during the morning. Still waiting on the sunflowers out here to bloom. So I've been under the weather for the past few days, so I haven't really gotten a lot done. Just pretty much mowed. There's a lot of weed whacking and maintenance that still needs done around here, but I figured I'd still bring you along because there's a lot of things blooming. And down in this corner we have the black-eyed Susan blooming, the blue jean baby Russian sage, and a gorgeous lily back there in the corner. This is one of the best lilies on the property. You can see a little bee in there working on it, but it has nice yellow and orange stripes that the other lilies just don't have. A lot of buds there coming in too. Some little baby sunflowers blooming over here on the back side. They're actually not really facing the house, so we can't really see them. You got to come down here and kind of get in the back of the garden to see them. That's the problem with sunflowers. They don't always bloom the direction that you want them to. Out here underneath the Royal Empress, we have a hollyhock blooming. The only one on the property right now that's blooming. We also have one of the daylilies that are all frilly, have the double layers. And all the hostas are finishing up blooming underneath the big old Royal Empress tree, which is looking really nice this year. Coming out into the front garden, we do have the big old limelight hydrangeas starting to bloom. They're just coming into their first white flowers. There's a nice big old puffy flower with a bunch more to go. The deer did come and prune some of these off, but that's the thing with the limelight. It will still bloom on new wood and old wood. So you don't have to worry too much about the deer coming in and pruning. Look how many are on this one. Wow. That is a full hydrangea there. Got another one doing really well this year. Got a lot of white colas on it and they're getting big. A nice big oak tree that's still doing pretty healthy. See what I mean about the maintenance though? Got a lot of weeds coming up through it, pokeweed coming up through it. Some more hollyhocks here that are putting on buds, but they just haven't bloomed yet. Calendula poking up through. We have the Vista bubblegum petunias over here with the phlox. That I didn't think this phlox was going to keep blooming like that, but it's blooming really nice. And then we have the bobo hydrangea here. It's not the limelight. This one's a bobo. Oh, there's a ladybug in there. Vista petunias. And then I have a big smile pumpkin here. I was hoping to get a pumpkin off of this, But we don't have anything set yet. There's a pumpkin right there, but it's not set yet. It just maybe got pollinated this morning, so we'll see if that starts growing. There's no other pumpkin actually growing on that plant yet. So hopefully throughout the next couple days, that's gonna set and start getting a lot bigger. We actually have some salvia blooming here. I didn't expect this to bloom, but I cut it all back to the ground whenever I bought it and planted it in here, and then you can see it came up with a nice flush of blooms. Not this one, but at least 2 of them did. Move this pink stone down here. I don't know if we showed it last time, but I got this off of just a house that was giving them away, and I figured I'll take that. And yeah, I finally found a spot that I could put it. It sat up by the driveway for a really long time, but I think this is a really nice spot underneath the corkscrew willow. It's getting really close to time for this hibiscus to start opening up all these beautiful big blooms that it has. Crocosmia is still putting off a lot of blooms. It's held up nice, a lot better than the gladiolas have through the wind and the rain. But a lot of these gladiolas have already fallen over. But they're still showing off some nice whites and reds back here. Shasta daisy still looking beautiful. Got some more lilies in the back that are blooming later than the others. So it's nice having the lilies all over the property because they get different amounts of sun and they actually start blooming at different times. Not sure what happened to this daisy. It was full bloom in the other day, but now something got in there. I don't know if I have a bug in there or something, but whole center of this one, we have some volunteer sunflowers blooming with another hibiscus. This is the Mars red hibiscus. And it gets a little bit more shade sitting underneath this maple tree, but somehow it's already blooming. And a lily. This is the first time this lily's actually blooming on the property because I bought it 2 years ago and then it got crushed by the maples, so it never bloomed last year. So this is a stargazer lily and it is beautiful. That is some nice color. Can't wait for that to establish and start putting up some more to where I'll be able to separate the bulbs out and get a nice little drift of these. Off the corner of the house where the purple rhododendron is, we have the sunflower finally blooming, and that one's going to be really nice. That head's blooming perfectly right there on the corner, but it also has multi-heads, so it's going to be blooming all the way. Well, my brother stopped by and standing there talking to him. All right, Echo, you keeping them wrangled underneath the tree? I'm just trying to grab them 2 by 2. All right, puppy, just a few more here. We're working on them. It's so cute seeing them run out here. Oh, puppy. Life. Life. Got you. Howdy, pup. Go over the fence. Come here, white one. Nee! What are you doing? I do the catching, puppy. I do the catching. Turkey. Good job. All right, I think we still have another one out, puppy. Hey, don't bite, pup. Little turkey. Little turkey. No, can't go that way, buddy. Can't go that way. Hey! Knee. Gotta get this turkey in, pup. Come here, turkey. There you go. There you go, buddy. Puppy. I think we got them all. There is one thing looking rather nice here in the island garden, and that is the calla lily pathway. You can see it in full bloom coming back here to the bench. Just beautiful pinks and sherberts and dark reds all the way through these calla lilies. It's a really nice spot back here now. It'll be nice to see all of these fill out and get thicker and fuller. You can see all the different colors we have here, yellows and pinks. It'll be nice to see all these get nice and full and big and actually produce a really nice hedge of calla lily blooms. Got the hostas still blooming back here, and so are all the heuchera. Tiny little blooms of the heuchera. Looking good as well out here. That's going to be all for this garden tour. We are getting a lot of veggies, some bell peppers, some cucumbers, zucchini, and tomatoes from the food forest and garden. But we're not getting a really large harvest. We're just getting some here and there. And I think I'm going to spend a little bit more time next year on the vegetable garden so I get a larger harvest of the food that I want to be eating. That's all for this week. If you want to follow along, subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.